fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to Division N's Evaluation Marathon, Day 5. I am Toastmaster Siali, the Sergeant at Arms for today. Let me begin today's session by stating our district's mission. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. At Toastmasters, we refrain from talking about sex, politics, and religion in a derogatory manner while giving speeches. Some rules to be respected during the meeting are: maintain the decorum of the virtual meeting room by muting and letting your videos on. In case you need to move, please do so by turning your video off so to avoid the speaker getting disturbed during this speech. Muting and unmuting of speakers will be handled by the Zoom master. So wait for your turn to speak and follow the general meeting flow. Do not share your screen unless asked by the Zoom master. The gestures such as thumbs up, clap, and raise hands are available under the reaction option. Please make use of the gestures. Please do not explore other features during the meeting to avoid any hindrance. With this, please help me welcome the moderator for today, Toastmaster Brijesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vishali. No Toastmaster club is fulfilling its obligation to its members unless it's bring them the maximum of training in the art of constructive criticism. Evaluations help to boost your confidence and provide you a tangible direction for improvement. They are essential to your Toastmaster experience. They show you what you do well and what you might consider practice more. Without constructive criticism from others, you may not grow as a communicator or leader. Hello everyone, I'm Toastmaster Brijesh and I welcome you all to Day 5 of Division N Evaluation Marathon. Let me tell you all the flow and rules for the marathon. There will be a test speaker who will present their speech. Evaluators can make notes during that time. Once the speech is done, Zoom master will send all the evaluators along with Sergeant at Arms 2 and Timer 2 to a breakout room where they will get 5 minutes to complete their evaluation. While in the breakout room, contestants will keep the microphone and camera turned on, hands in range of the camera, and not use any electronic devices. Once 5 minutes are over, timer shall indicate to stop writing immediately. The first contestant shall be moved to the main room with the timer. The remaining contestants shall keep their video and audio on throughout their presence in the breakout room. Their hands shall be visible at all times. After each evaluator, we will observe 1 minute of silence for the super evaluator to mark their feedback. After last evaluator, we will observe 3 minutes of silence for the super evaluator to complete their evaluation. Then we will invite our super evaluator to present their feedback, and after that, we will proceed to certificate presentation. Our super evaluator for today is Toastmaster Vikram Sikka, ACG, ALB, DL5, IP5, SR5, PI5, EC5, LD3, VC2, Barbarian from North, traveler and explorer from the land of 5 rivers, past Division D Director 2020-21, members of 5 clubs across 3 divisions. We welcome you in Division N Evaluation Marathon.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Let's begin with our Day 5 of Division N Evaluation Marathon. Let's call our test speaker for today, Toastmaster Hargun. Toastmaster Hargun, could you please check your audio video once?
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster. It feels wonderful to be the test speaker for today. Were I clearly audible?
Yes. Can you see the timer card?
Just a second. One second. They aren't visible to me now.
Can you see the timer card now?
Yes, they are visible.
Okay. Toastmaster Hargun, the next generation relationship, Toastmaster Hargun.
The ideology of a relationship in today's age and generation is not only different, but vivid in itself. Gone are those days when people used to shy, smirk, ignore, or maybe just that very day when the sun might have risen from the west per se, they would approach that very person to say, "Hello, what's your name?" I mean, it was not a greeting in itself. It was just a remedy towards an anti-anxiety. I mean, that's insane. Today, people are so open that hi is like a conversation starter. Look at a WhatsApp messages per se. If I was to say about an article, actually, the article back in 1997 from a New York Times publication said that an open communication is not just a person's strength, but it's person's key value towards building any kind of a relationship, professional, personal, or any other. Is my boss here? I mean, I've not submitted my assignments. He should not catch me. But that's the way. If you are openly communicative, each and every problem gets solved within an instant. Communication is not just limited to being vocal about things. It is about expressing yourself in the moment when it is so very much required. Imagine going to a restaurant. You can't order a plate of shoes. That's what it is. You need to be empathetic. You need to be very physically understanding as to what, why, and how a situation is going ahead. Curiosity is one of those factors that has been proven to be a conversation starter in many other things. A Harvard study says that when you are engaging with your audience and asking questions about them, it makes an environment so heuristic that helps them understand that genuinely you're finding a connection, an idea secure enough to understand and towards being open. Comfortable is the word which you could say. It not just stops there. According to another Harvard study back in 2013, it states that trust comprising of honesty and integrity are two those factors which when compassed together by a person in his speech and dialogue make a person comfortable, looking towards longer and strengthening their relationships. It is to mention that if a person is emotionally open, he or she can sustain a relationship, not maintain, sustain. That's the difference. I'm very glad to say that these days people are much more emotionally open. They are understanding, they are cooperative. But then, why are we not able to maintain relationships in this 2021 year? I mean, the decade is one of the best ever. I mean, obviously, people have lost their life, unfortunately, the COVID-19 things. But look at us. I, being from Nasik, is delivering a speech of division N from Nagpur to Raipur. Insane, isn't it? The thing about thing is that people's lives have changed drastically, with people's priorities being different at different hours. Gone are those days where people's priorities changed on a yearly basis, once in 2 years, let's say once in few months, to once in some minutes these days. That's when people become skeptical about their own abilities. Let's understand the things. Up till now, we've spoken about the characteristics needed for strengthening a relationship or to be a person who has a good relationship with people in general. But have you ever thought that if your priorities changed in each and every aspect, what it might do to a relationship? Let me give you a very simple example. Consider that you are going towards your office, stuck in traffic. Maybe a lame excuse to a boss. If it were true to be one day, if that very incident was true, that means you've understood that it is actually a part and parcel of life getting stuck. But the thing I really want to tell you all is that let's compare this very situation of being stuck in traffic and not moving for hours to changing priorities in life. We've got so hooked up to different priorities, materialistic for that matter of fact, that we've left people, parts of our lives who strengthen us behind. At Times reports goes on to say that with changing priorities at faster intervals, people have lost decision making as an ability and as one of those strengths which actually made humans far more intellectual back in the 60s and 70s. A wrong decision would take you towards a wrong path and ultimately would land you up in a failure. Let me give you one simple example. How far have been also this online environment is becoming stressing. I really do understand that. But if we consider lives before the quarantine or before the pandemic, there were hardly few times when a working official used to go to meet with his friends. I mean, once a week or once in 2 weeks is actually the best thing to do. But it got elongated to once a month. Me, I met my friend just yesterday after 4 years. Sad, isn't it? Changed priorities, maybe studies, maybe career, whatsoever the thing. In my aspect, having understood, having researched, and after having understood people through a close extent, I really feel the most important part towards building a relationship is the balance. Balance between excuses, balance between fights, balance between letting go and taking your stand, balance between comprehending and trying to comprehend a situation, balance between choice and necessity. And last but not the least, between maintaining a relationship and sustaining a relationship. So, what have we learned so far? Open communication, trust, honesty, and integrity are the key towards a successful relationship. Set your priorities right and take control of your life and your relationships. You. But hang on, these words sound to be very similar. Where do we learn such things? Obviously, at a Toastmasters meeting. Indeed. So, to all the guests over here, if you are having a problem which I had of maintaining relationships socially or maybe somewhere else, the best way is to join a Toastmasters club. Renew, if possible, to all the members. With this, I would like to conclude my speech on one note. If you communicate, you learn, you grow. And the synonym of the word relationship to me is growing. Over to the moderator. Thank you very much.
I request Zoom Master to send all the evaluators along with the SAR2 and timer to the breakout room. Please notify once done.
Requesting evaluators to please join the breakout room, and Sadhya Tams, Toastmaster Anjali, please join the breakout room. Moderator, I confirm all the evaluators along with timer and Sadhya Tams are in the breakout room.
And I request the timer to start the time for 5 minutes and notify once done. In the meantime, can we have Toastmaster Hargun on stage for a quick interview and a certificate presentation, please? Toastmaster Hargun, how do you feel being a Toastmaster?
I mean, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me till now because I just said it in my speech, I am one of those people in my club alongside my president, Siali, who happen to be from a geographical area that's miles, thousands of miles away from my club. And still it gives me the sense of belonging to a family that I know I can trust upon, I can learn from. And the sheer enthusiasm in a meeting just drives me crazy towards accomplishing new things in life.
Thank you. Any favorite hobbies?
My favorite hobby happens to be just speaking. I mean, people actually have to say, stop. I mean, there could be actually road signs if there were for people to like, Hargun, please stop. Hargun, please stop. I mean, yeah, that could be the thing. I mean, people are trying to get them ready, but I mean, the government is not approving them. So yeah.
Thank you. And here's your participation certificate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I request timer, once the 5 minutes over, please let me know. I request Zoom Master to please call Evaluator 1, Toastmaster Nyama, to main meeting room. Toastmaster Nyama, could you please check your audio video?
Check, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are. Can you see the timer card?
Yes, I can.
Evaluator, okay. Evaluator 1, Toastmaster Nyama, Toastmaster Nyama, Evaluator 1.
I would like the target. Yes, thank you. All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. And a special good evening to my target speaker, Toastmaster Hargun. Let me begin my brief evaluation of your speech by commenting on the fact that you chose two topics which are so capricious in today's world: communication and relationships. And more so, these have become more and more unpredictable thanks to the pandemic. So firstly, congratulations on choosing a topic like relationships. I would like to structure my evaluation talking about the commendations, coming to the recommendations, and closing with the commendations again. So to begin with, a very interesting title, Next Generation Relationships, that immediately caught the attention of all the ones who were listening to you today. After that, when you moved on and you began with a question, I love the way how time and again you posed questions at the audience, at the listeners, as are relationships a true thing for you? Or is communication something that you're really paying attention to? Or all these type of rhetorical questions allowed us to time and again pause and think. So that was a very good plus on your part. Second, language. I truly enjoy a speech much more if it has got good language and grammar. And your speech had that. Right amount of good usage of grammar with the punctuations, with all the pauses that were required in a speech to flow smoothly. Words like being skeptical, or a remedy towards anti-anxiety, or encompassing, or not maintaining but sustaining. Such words allow us to keep note of what you're saying and allows me to register the same. After the language, I also liked how you, like I mentioned, communication and relationships, there was so much that you could have talked about. There were so many elements. The first thing that you did was you talked about what all is lacking. So you identified the problem. You need to be more empathetic. You also used a nice simile of being stuck in traffic to seeing how you can be stuck in relationships. So these are all the wonderful things that you made your speech about. If I had to give you a few recommendations, the first one would be that, in my opinion, I feel that your speech was a little deficient in its structure, that you had a lot of positive and good things to say, but it somewhere lacked, or let's say was not very flowing in its opening body and conclusion. And secondly, you gave us a wonderful take-home message that I need to balance my communication or my relationship and set my priorities right. But tell me how. So you gave me a take-home message, but tell me now, where do I go from there? So that is just the two recommendations that I have for you. Coming back to a beautiful speech, that is how I would like to summarize that your speech had just all the right elements, very interesting and something that the audience was well aware about. And only thing you need to work on is your structure. That is something that you can enhance on your next speech. That's all. Thank you so much.
Let's have a 1 minute of silence for the super evaluator to mark their feedback. Zoom Master, please spotlight Evaluator 2 Toastmasters there.
Zoom Master, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are. Can you see the timer card?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can.
Okay. Evaluator 2 Toastmasters there.
Moderator, please wait. Yep, please continue.
Okay. Evaluator 2 Toastmasters there. Toastmasters there. Evaluator 2.
It is rightly said. Speak from the heart. If you speak at all and carve every word before you let it fall. And I would like to ask everyone to join me in congratulating Toastmaster Hargun for carving each word of his speech in our minds for a long, long time to come. What a speech. It had a perfect structure, an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Toastmaster Hargun, you have created a brilliant speech. It is totally well balanced. You have included data from Harvard research, which is coupled with some very relatable day-to-day life excuses. For example, you gave an example of maybe a lame excuse to your boss. That was very relatable to the audience. And I guess that is the point where you got your audience hooked to your speech. Couple that with your hand gestures, your facial expressions that were totally bang on throughout the speech. The way you modulated your voice, you actually used your complete body to express what you were thinking, what you were feeling. You turned around and said, "Is my boss here?" And I was laughing hard at that point of time. Toastmaster Hargun, you are already an amazing speaker. And with a few adjustments, I believe you will be wonderful. In my opinion, when you started the speech, you could have started with a quote or at a slower note, so that it could have created a bigger impact on the audience. When you were giving your speech, maybe due to a bit of nervousness, you were going a bit fast. Your rhythm was not exactly perfect and it was not connecting the speakers at some intervals of time, especially in the introduction part. And the pronunciation, because of the pace, was a bit not clear. It was a bit blurred. So I believe we can work on the pace here. One more recommendation that I would like to give you that can actually create wonderful impact for you is dramatic pauses. You could have taken dramatic pauses at regular intervals. But Toastmaster Hagun, the best part of your speech is the way you concluded the speech. When you started the speech with the title, The Next Generation Relationship, I could not have imagined in my wildest dreams that you were going to conclude with a request for renewing our membership of Toastmasters. And that was the best part of your speech, I believe. It was very intelligently structured. So to summarize, Argun, you have great voice modulation, great hand gestures, face expressions, a very well-researched speech. If you could just work on a bit of pace, the dramatic pauses, and starting with a bang, he will be perfect. Back to you, Toastmasters, the moderator. Thank you.
Let's have a 1 minute of silence for the super evaluators to mark their feedback. Zoom Master, please spotlight Evaluator 3, Toastmaster Harsh. Toastmaster Harsh, could you please check your audio and video?
Toastmaster Brajesh, am I properly audible as well as visible?
Yes, you are. Can you see the timer card?
Yes, the timing cards are visible to me.
Okay. Evaluator 3, Toastmaster Harsh, Evaluator 3.
So, starting with my evaluation, I would like to first give an example and compare the speech to making a yummy dish. So, I believe that to make a dish, we require several ingredients in it. But to make it tasty, we require the ingredients in it in right proportion. Similar is the case with the speech. So, talking about the Toastmaster Hargun speech, first of all, talking about the title of his speech, the title that he gave, next generation relationship, is really an interesting topic to be talked about. And yes, he told us about the priorities that the people of the next generation have. They have a changing set of priorities. Before some years or before some decades, we used to have friends with whom we used to just share our emotions. We used to talk with them and we used to be together. But now we have more online friends. We do not know them, but we talk to them. And in real life, we have changed our priorities and we do not even want to talk with them or want to meet with them. So totally, we have a different relationships nowadays that is going on currently. Toastmaster Hargun told us various good things like about the honesty and integrity, which are really very crucial in a person's life. And he also gave a very good line about the relationship, that the synonym of relationship is grow, which I liked the most. Now, talking about some of the ingredients in his speech, the first was facial expressions. So I liked the facial expressions of Toastmaster Hargun, but I believe that he could have a bit improvement on his facial expressions so that like he can smile at a few places, which may help to attract the audience a bit more, and he may have a variety of expressions mixed in his speech. Next, talking about the statistical data, yes, he presented a good set of data from the various trusted organizations, which was really good, and it basically helps to prove you a point. So it was a good use of the data. He had used hand gestures, but I believe the hand gesture should be used a bit more frequently so that the speaker and the audience get a very good connection between them, because the basic thing which is of the resonance between them. Like the person in front of you should be able to get connected with you, and thus we require various things in it. Now, talking about some of the improvements, I felt that he had lose eye contact a few times, which distracted audience a bit. You may also give a personal example to the audience and may also ask certain sort of questions. So this was all from my side. Thank you. And over to Toastmaster Brajesh.
Let's have a 1 minute of silence for the super evaluators to mark their feedback. Zoom Master, please spotlight Evaluator 4, Toastmaster Siali. Toastmaster Siali, could you please check your audio and video?
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are. Can you see the timer card?
Yes, I can see.
Evaluator 4, Toastmaster Siali, Toastmaster Siali, Evaluator 4.
So, Toastmaster Hargun, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for giving your speech. And you started your speech very well. The relationships in the next generation. I really like that you gave different examples like relationships, how were relationships in past and how are they in present. Also, you gave different characteristics like being empathetic and various. Also, you said that also you put various points like this generation people are emotionally open, and yeah, I totally agree with that. In past, things were different and now they are different. People communicate more openly now, and in past it wasn't really that thing. Also, in between you did something like you said if your boss wasn't here, that you haven't done your assignment. So it was very realistic. It gave very realistic feels. Also, yes, and yes, and also you talked about balance, that we need to balance excuses, arguments, also communication, and those things are very important in communication. We all know that, and I totally agree with you on that. Now coming to the recommendations part, you were giving your speech in a sitting position, which is, mm, I think that was not giving very realistic feel. You should have standard, you should have given your speech in the standing position, so we could see your hand gestures more, and it would feel a little bit real. Also, I think there was a bit voice missing voice modulation. You could have done more voice modulations and etc. Also, I feel that your speech could have been like more creative, and you could have uh, expressed your views in a more creative way, like giving example of your own real life, like how are the relationships, etc. Also, I liked your conclusion. Your conclusion was good. It was the summation of the whole speech, and that's what a conclusion is. So also I liked your confidence. All in all, your speech was great. Just a few things that you could have just standard and given your speech. So thank you.
Let's have a 3-minute for our super evaluator to compile the evaluator's feedback. In the meantime, let's call our evaluators for certificate presentation. So Toastmaster Nyama, here is your certificate for participating. Toastmaster Uzair.
Thank you.
Toastmaster Harsh.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And Toastmaster Siali.
Thank you.
I'm ready. Would you like me to start?
Sure, we can.
Okay, let me just go in the order which I just heard these people. I mean, I like to go backwards because the last person is the most freshest to me. So if that's okay with you, can I go with Siali and then Harsh and Uzair? Would that be okay, or you want me to go with Nyama?
Can I welcome you, sir?
Go ahead and welcome me.
Yeah. Let's welcome on stage Toastmaster Vikram to share his feedback for the evaluators.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, moderator. Sorry, this is the first time I'm doing this sort of a stuff where you become a super evaluator. Yes, I can certainly sympathize with Toastmaster Hargun. He gets to hear 4 people. Believe me, there are some occasions where you have 10, 12 speakers, and by the time that test speaker goes home, he was either too loud, too soft, too vocal, very vocal, could not be heard, did not walk enough, walked too much. Maybe his right hand moved more or left hand moved less. Maybe he was blinking or not blinking. Entirely depends. Speech evaluation is exactly like blind men and the elephant joke. Remember, is it a snake? Is it a pillar? Is it a wall? Everyone is the same. And when you're an audience sitting out there watching the whole world, you're wondering, what are these guys talking about? This is our version of the story. And everybody thinks differently. And everyone is right. And everyone may not be so right, because it's all a question of perception, your viewpoint of how you saw it, how you understood it. So, Hargun, when you go back home, have a cold glass of water if you like, or if you take some stronger ingredients, just feel free. I'll leave that to you. Maybe, and then you decide that, okay, what you heard, and that's it. Go back to sleep in peace. If you take it to heart, you will start wondering, I should be louder. No, I should be softer. And you wonder, oh, I should move more here and there. So don't do that. Believe me, some places they had about 18 to 21 contestants. And by the way, when you go back home, you wonder, you feel like taking a pistol and blowing up your head. What did we do? So don't do anything of that sort. So I'll begin first of all with Toastmaster Niyamat. Okay, so I'm not really going to go too much into the CRC. I'm going to take it exactly as how the form wanted you to go ahead. Niyamat has a very clear, concise voice. If you hear her speak, there is a lot of clarity over there. So her message carries across. She caught on to a lot of stuff which Toastmaster Hargun mentioned. Now that is the plus point. Analytically, she caught on. She is clear and focused. Though one of the things that I think Nyama did not get too much, everyone remembered the Harvard part. She remembered Harvard, but she didn't really mention about the times. I believe Hargun mentioned 2 statistical, Harvard 2013 and Times. He never mentioned the year for that, but no one really seemed to have caught on to it. And I was trying to wait and see, okay, Times is a much bigger name. Who's going to catch it? I thought at least one person would say, Toastmaster Hargun, you mentioned Harvard 2013. And what about Times, which year? No one forgot about Times. So maybe all of it thought Times of India, to bhul de. That's okay. But yeah, I remembered it and I was trying to see who's going to catch it. Niyamat did not catch that part, which is okay. But you could have caught him on that. Which year survey of Times? That was something that could have been caught, was not. And this is a speech evaluation. Analytical is 40%. You could have drilled him mercilessly on that. Are you sure? Was it the 1895 edition or the 2019 edition? Which one are we talking about? You could have gone there. Recommendations, yes. You had a bunch of recommendations and you mentioned, I only have 2 recommendations. But in the end, again, you told them to work on structure. So actually, you ended up having 3 recommendations. You should have thought of that. It was there. The third one was structure. You don't have to mention 2. And these are the recommendations you need to work on. You followed the CRC approach. Everything was there. Now, what I'd like to suggest to you is try working on a technique. Now, technique, sympathetic, sensitive, motivational. You could have used any 3 of these techniques. Obviously, there was nothing of a sympathy here because Hargun was not giving a sad story, so that was never going to be applicable. What you could have gone on is you could have taken it to motivational. Hargun has given you all a bone. Okay, I won't use the bone, like a biryani. He's given everyone a tasty biryani, which says this is linked to relationship and membership. You got onto the relationship point with renewals, but you could have pushed it. Thank you, Toastmaster Hargun. And this is where I think a lot of speakers need to show energy. It's like you're reading a Times of India report. And so, yes, there was a building, there was a menu, and yes, our Prime Minister did this, our President went to this country, this. You could have said, thank you, Toastmaster Hargun. Renewals are there. I, Nyama, have done my renewal, and you could have linked yourself to the story. Hargun's message for relationship was matching up with renewals. That's the biggest thing right now in the Toastmasters world, all over the world. September month is renewal month. He gave that biryani, which all of us should have just grabbed and caught hold of it. I was thinking out here, hey, this is an inspiration message. The district should put Toastmaster Hargun as the membership renewal guy. He speaks on renewals, catch him. So Nyama, that was one place we could have really caught on to him. Yes, what I really liked about was the summation part. You have spot on. You managed to do that part where you summarized, which is very important. Some of the other colleagues I'll come to later on, but your summary part was good. You mentioned. So analytically, you were clear and focused, though yes, the times part. Recommendation wise, yes, you were positive, specific, helpful. Your biggest strength is a clear voice. You are clear and concise. You don't have too many fillers. I don't see fillers over there. So your message carries across. What you could do more, maybe sit back a little bit and wave a little bit of your hands also. Yes, I know we all have hands. That way, that energy carries across. You could have started the beginning. You mentioned a very nice word, rhetorical questions, good language. You mentioned about Hargun. The rhetorical questions where a lot of people may not know the meaning of rhetorical. So you may want to tweak that word into a simple language. You asked a lot of questions, Hargun. Did everyone understand it? You could have put that word over there. Why I'm saying rhetorical is a lot of people may not know. Even I have to look up the dictionary of what rhetorical is. I think I know, but a lot of people may not know. Cool. You use the word skeptical. And I think now this is one part. You mentioned he's got vocal variety. I really did not think Hargun had so much of vocal variety. He could have really gone more. This is one recommendation everyone should have binged him on. Some of them did, but in your case, you could have said, Hargun, you've got such an energy in you. Why don't you go ahead and talk about vocal variety, relationships, renewals, Toastmasters, honesty, integrity. He could have been forceful, and that's what you should have told him to do over there. I won't bring you more on that because now you're going to start hating me with a gun. Next time you see me, Nyama's got pistols lined up on Vikram. Those are the things you could do. But overall, a very nice approach. You dealt with a lot of tact. Very nicely done. But try and pay a bit more attention because there are tweaks in these kind of things where they mention words which you can come and pick back on and take them back. Overall, a very nice session, very neatly done, and very neat, definitive work. Okay. All the best to you on your next stage of your journey, Toastmaster Nyama. Okay. Now let's come on to the next one. Was Uzair, right? Okay. Where's Uzair? So it's okay. Yeah, there. Uzair, good. Okay, Uzair. A lot of your stuff will be common with him. Again, you also were praising him on. You also forgot on the analytical part. Some of the things which Nyama did the same thing times. You forgot to mention his time statistics, which year, what did he do, where did he come from? Your beginning was more visible because you, at least in your case, since I think you're taking from a camera, you were able to adjust your frame into it. We got to see the full half torso of you and we got to see your hand movement. Now that showed more energy and excitement, which is a very big plus point because then the judges get to see more of you and they feel, yes, remember, you might be very energetic sitting right here. I might be very energetic waving my hands, but no one can see it. They can't see it. In your case, we could see half your body and your hands movement. So that energy carried across. Some of the things that you did mention, you again highlighted three things to him. The intro, body, conclusion, you called it the perfect speech. You don't have to really go into the word perfect. You could have said it's a very good speech because perfect means perfect. So if it was a perfect speech, why would you even need to give recommendations? I know I'm picking on that word perfect, but the rest of the world would not. So you could have said, Hargun, that was a very good speech. You had opening, intro, body, conclusion. Don't use the word perfection. because it gives the wrong sort of ideas. They are perfect hai, to when why worry? I mean, I would take it that way. So let's not go in there. You also mentioned about the summary part, your pace. You caught on to also the renewal membership grid, which you had rightly pointed out, which was the plus point. Again, the same kind of recommendation I had given to Nyama. You could have really showed vocal variety and jumped up and down and said, renewal month, yes, we got onto it. There was a message. Argun is giving a message on relationships and he linked it to renewals, not us. So he brought that cat into the fight, which we could have really picked up and gone fighting on with. So that was a point you could have really picked up on. Your pronunciation is fine. Vocal variety, you needed to work more on and to expound on it. But yes, your voice is clear. We can easily understand what you were trying to mention. You did not have too many fillers or gaps as such. Again, I'm not a grammarian, but when we see a speaker, a contestant going with gaps and fillers, a little bit of hesitation comes in our mind. So you didn't have that bit, which is nice. Okay. And you also started a good beginning part with join me in congratulating, which is always very nice for a speaker. Here, there were only 4 of you. So by the time if you were the 15th person joining him in congratulating, that guy would have run away by now, but no, he didn't. Kudos to Hargun. Overall, a very nice one. But yes, definitely the vocal variety, you need to get some action moving. Gestures are fine in your case. We saw you move around, but get that vocal variety bit to carry your message. Again, one of the things you may want to develop on is the technique part. Sympathetic, sensitive, motivational. Sympathy doesn't work here. There was no sad story. Motivation is what you can push on. So try to bring more of the motivation aspect. Show your technique that yes, you are. So again, to summarize for you, analytical, bring up the time survey part, which you could have caught on. Recommendations, you should have really got down to the end and really drilled down a bit more. And the technique, thank him for the motivation of reminding us. Again, that technique should come through because his relationship equal to grow. Toastmasters memory is what we are. All in all, a very nice summation still. Good work. Good job to you, Uzair. Okay, now coming on to my next victim, Harsh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Harsh, you caught on to a lot of stuff which he had done. You could have, you mentioned on the friends aspect. So analytically, again, here in your case, his survey, all that, again, everyone forgot times. I don't know why, but I remembered that. Maybe I liked that magazine. Again, that part still needs to be done. We need to hear these guys a bit more. You picked on a nice aspect which the others had not picked on was you mentioned about friends and online. About that, today we do not see our real life friends as often, but yes, online we get to meet people. That was a very apt point, which somehow caught the synopsis of what Hargun was trying to mention, because his mention also was after 4 years meeting a friend. That was a point that could be picked up, and you might, if you want to show sympathy or technique, you could have said, I understand Hargun's story. I haven't met my old school friend in my case, a long time ago, more than 4 years when I was in school. I am much more than 4 years in school. I would have said 20 years ago in school, meeting my friend after 20 years. But in your case, meeting my friend after 5 years, 10 years, Hargun, I can relate to that. Now that instantly evokes a sympathy with him. You are linking up your story. That was something that could be brought into the tale. Again, your voice is clear and concise. We can understand. I know you're sitting with a big camera, so we can see your movements. Vocal variety, again, you should expound on it. Don't be scared to use your voice. Hargun, that was a wonderful message. I really enjoyed it. And yes, I'm going to renew my membership. Even if you've not renewed, you can still say, I'm going to renew my membership tonight itself, thanks to your message. And Hargun, you have reminded me I should talk to my friend. So as soon as this call gets over, I want to pick up my phone and start dialing all my old friends. You may not, but still that shows you are related to his message, that motivation carries across. That part you could have added onto it. Analytically, yes. Recommendations, you could have worked a bit more onto that. I had a feeling now in your message, you started off very well. The biggest drawback in your thing was very abrupt ending. The red light came, you saw the color, and you finished up very fast. That ending is something you should always pace yourself. So always give yourself sufficient time for a summary. Please remember, you only have 2 to 3 minutes. I know I also have only a few minutes left, so I'll speed it up. But remember, your ending was very abrupt. You were going along nicely, maybe a little too nicely, and then suddenly red color card, oh beta, wrap it up fast. And that's where you could have scored. Pace yourself. You could have cut yourself a little bit more slack in the beginning and then given a proper summation. So in your case, that summation bit, all that just went by too fast. That proper thing was not done. Judges would have totally marked it down completely off on that. And believe me, that's a sizable chunk, 15 points. So try and work on your timing aspect and wrap up. Cool. Otherwise, a very nice effort done, Harsh. Now let's come on to the last person, Siali. Okay, Siali. Let's highlight her. Oh, she's there. Okay, Siali. I would not beat around the bush on this thing. You are very fond of the word also. I really don't know why you like it a lot, but too many times the word was used. Please keep eye contact maintained with the audience when you are there. She's gone off. Okay. Please keep eye contact maintained. And sometimes you were also having a lot of gap between your words. Now, maybe you were not reading your notes properly, or you had a little bit of an issue there on the side. But remember, if you've forgotten a few things, skip it, go down to the next point. Don't try and memorize it. You can always read it in front of you. And don't use that word also so many times, because that becomes like a filler word, which was excessive over there. It's not a very bad thing because I'm not a grammarian, but yes, for the judges, your smooth line is not there. You have a clear voice, but the structured speech needs to be maintained. Those recommendations need to come out in a smooth flow. If I go also, it tends to hit that point. Analysis, no analysis as such was done. You could have mentioned his statistics. You did not mention Harvard, did not mention Times. Those were important things which you could have expounded on and got onto that. You congratulated him, which was a very nice thing. Yes. Examples, but you should have really gone a bit more than congratulations and into the body of the message that this is what you did. One important thing which you really caught on to, a lot of people did not do, was his sitting position. He was spot on that yes, Hargun, you should have moved around a bit. That was a very nice recommendation by itself. That would have been a game changer if you would like to put it over there. But again, in the end, I did not see any much of sympathy or motivation or specifics. Your recommendations did not have any specificity in it. And that is what you really need to build into it. You need to be very specific. So other than that sitting position, you should have highlighted 2-3 more and pushed it onto him. So maybe when you go back and practice some more, just think about it. If you forget, skip it. If you remember it, go on a smooth line and maybe just jot down simple points which you can just put in front of you and read out. And that will help your game a lot more. So you don't have to try and remember it. All right, but good attempt nonetheless, and practice more. And with that, I end my session today. My forgiveness if anyone wants to kill me, or if I should show my face in Nagpur in future, but that's what it is. Over to you, moderator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vikram, for such a wonderful insights. I'm sure that these insights will help all of us to be a better evaluator. Now I request our Division M Director, Toastmaster Deepalika, to come on stage and felicitate our role players.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Brajesh. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, you are.
Am I audible? Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vikram, for coming up and being the super evaluator for today's evaluation marathon, the day 5, the final day. And we couldn't have asked for a better person than you. You gave so many pointers to all of us. And I believe that every one of us sitting in this room have taken up some points and they'll be applying it in their evaluations in future. Thank you so much for being there. We had a sergeant at arms for the meeting. Toastmaster Vaishali, thank you so much for opening up the meeting right on time with stating all the rules. Thank you so much. Our next Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Anjali, thank you for being there in the breakout room with the evaluators. Thank you, Anjali. Our time for the day, distinguished Toastmaster Mayuri, thank you so much for taking up the timer's role and pointing out the timings right on time. Our timer 2 for the day, Toastmaster Nikita. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nikita, for coming up, taking up the role and helping us with timings. We had our moderator, Toastmaster Prajesh, for a smooth and fantastic carryover of the whole session. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Prajesh, for being there. Our Zoom master, Toastmaster Yash, the Superman behind all of these, the PK manager, thank you so much for being there, conducting this whole evaluation marathon, planning for it. We also had our 4 fantastic evaluators, Toastmaster Uzair, Toastmaster Siali, Toastmaster Nyama, and Toastmaster, I am not able to find Toastmaster Harsh, I'm so very sorry. Test speaker, the super fast Toastmaster Hergun, thank you for delivering your speech and helping all the evaluators for today's session. I thank all the participants who have stayed with us from the past 5 days. Thank you for being there, continuing your support, showing the providing the little help by taking up roles every time that we have called you for. Thank you so much for being there. I now pass it on to the moderator, Toastmaster Prajesh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dipalika. I hope you all enjoyed today's session and had a great learning experience. Today is our last day of evaluation marathon, and recording of these 5 days session will be available on YouTube. Link will be shared in Division N group. Now I hand over the stage back to Sa to officially close the meeting.
Thank you so much, moderator. So we are towards the end of the marathon. I hope you had fruitful learning for the entire 5 days. So with this, I now declare the marathon and this meeting closed. Thank you everyone for joining.